Just as soon as it hits those like 50-degree days, it's absolutely soup time in my house. I'm going to show you how to make a delicious Tuscan Ribollita soup. It's incredibly easy to make, and oh my gosh, are the flavors so dang good. Now, Ribolitta translates from Italian to English as reboiled. This is absolutely a classic peasant dish. They would oftentimes take leftover vegetable soup or any type of minestrone and old crusty bread, put it together, boom, Ribolitta. It's so good, and I know I'm biased when I say this because my ancestors were from Italy and Sicily, but no country is better at reusing old ingredients and recipes to make the most delicious meals of all time. They just put it together and boom, it's a masterpiece. We're still making it 200 and 300 years later. I'm sorry, but they're the best. But we got to get to cooking here. We need to knock out a little bit of prep because you know I want that cooking process to be super smooth, and so should you. Sound good? Let's cook. We are going to start off by soaking up some cannellini beans. Now, if you can't get a hold of some cannellini beans, I would opt into Great Northern beans. What we're going to do is add them to a container and then add in some cold water. We're going to put a lid on it. We want to let it sit for overnight or at least 12 hours long. Okay, if you don't have that kind of time, you can absolutely use canned cannellini beans. Make sure you drain them, or if you want to fast track this process, boil some water, pour it over top of the beans, let it sit for 1 hour, boom, you'll be good to go. Now, let's go ahead and take out our beans. You can see they've soaked up quite a bit of water, and that's the purpose of doing this, to make the cooking process easier and shorter. Go ahead and go over to the sink. We're just going to drain off the beans. No need to keep that water. Give it a little shake to get any of that starchy bean water off. Go over to a medium-sized pot, and then we're going to add in some cold water. Go up to about 2 inches of water over the top of the beans. You should be absolutely good there. Now I'm going to add in a sprig of fresh rosemary. Crank the heat on to about medium. What we're looking to do is kind of get a nice light simmer out of them. Now, in the meantime, we are going to prep up some veggies. So I've got a few yellow onions that I'm going to slice the ends off of, cut them in half, and then take the outside peel off them. We're going to go ahead and medium dice these up. You could go a little smaller, a little bigger. That is completely up to you. You could also use white onions or even sweet onions. Now set them to the side in the bowl, and then I'm going to next medium dice up some fresh celery stalks. And then for carrots, I'm going to peel them. I usually add a few extra carrots because my daughter loves them, and it's just an easy, great way to get my kid to eat more vegetables. If you've ever had to deal with that, then you know what I'm talking about. Also, medium dice those up, throw them in the same bowl along with the celery and onions. And then last of the vegetable prep, I'm going to run some fresh garlic cloves right through a garlic press because, you know me, I hate chopping up garlic. Now, before we get into preparing of the greens, I want to let you know that this recipe classically calls for something called black cabbage. Now, you're never going to find black cabbage in the grocery store because it's not called that here in the States. It's called Tuscan kale or Lacinato kale. So you will absolutely be able to find that. Here's how you cut it up. Because it's so bunchy and leafy, I'm sort of just trying to roll it together a little bit and keep it intact. I'm going to take thick, like 1/2 inch to 1 inch thick slices. Remember, please, that this is going to cook down and they're going to be nice, small, bite-sized pieces. I go right to the very end and then I get rid of those leftover woody stems. Now for some savoy cabbage, I'm going to slice it in half. This is what it looks like. It's not green cabbage. You can see it's a little bit more airy inside. And to slice it up, I'm going to thinly slice this, and really what I want to do is sort of work around the inside stem. So sort of carve around that stem, just like I'm doing here. You can take a look at that stem. Yep, you can maybe go a little bit more, but if not, that's good. Now go ahead and add it to the bowl right with the Lacinato kale. Okay, let's just say you can't find Lacinato kale or Savoy cabbage. The things that you can use to replace would be spinach, baby spinach, regular kale, or escarole. It would be totally okay to do that. You have to remember, these are peasant recipes and they were fluid. It depended on what was available, what they had on the garden, what they could afford, and that's what they used. So you'll be okay if you use any of those. Now, the last thing we need to do is crush some whole peeled tomatoes. I've got some from the San Marzano region. Just using your hand, crush them up. This is just a technique I learned in culinary school, and I just like to do it. Yes, you can buy canned diced or use fresh or even canned crushed, will be totally fine. Now, grab your onion, celery, carrots, and garlic. We are going over to our cooktop. I've got a nice big old large pot, and I'm going to add in some olive oil. I'm immediately going to crank the heat on to medium. Now add in all of those vegetables. Now, I didn't go to medium high like I normally do when cooking vegetables or protein because I want to sweat these vegetables. I'm not looking for any sort of caramelization. What I want them to be is tender and flavorful and slightly crunchy. This process is going to take in between 8 and 10 minutes. If it's too hot, please turn it down to low if you're on one of those high burners. Now I'll head over to our beans. Let's take a look. They look absolutely fantastic. A good way to know is take a little spoonful. If they're starting to break apart a little bit, we're good. Also, maybe try them to make sure. Now taking about half of the beans and including some liquid, we're going to add it to a blender. Once you put the top on, a little trick, be sure to take that middle part out and add a towel, or else all that heat and pressure in there will cause it to explode when you turn it on. I know firsthand. Now go ahead and put it on high speed. What we want to do is puree these beans. It's going to add a lot of flavor, a lot of body, a lot of texture to our soup. Once they are pureed, simply set them to the side. I get it. We've got a lot of moving parts. We got two different things on the stovetop. We just pureed half the beans. I promise you, we're getting super close to simmering this thing. Here we go. Grab all of those sliced up leafy greens that we prepped and add them right to the pot. It may fall over the top. Be sure to get those stragglers and put them back in there. Now back over to the beans. What's left over, we're going to remove that woody rosemary stem. Go ahead and take that pot and pour all of it, including the water, which is super flavorful, right into the other pot with all of the vegetables. Now we're going to go ahead and grab those pureed beans. Be sure to get a rubber spatula because there's so much goodness in there. We want to get every last little morsel of that and scrape it right into the pot as well. Now for the liquid, you can use water. I have some vegetable stock lying around that I think is going to be perfect in here, and also it'll keep this recipe completely vegetarian. And then just mix it together using a spoon and combine all of those ingredients and flavors, because the last thing we're going to do here is just add on a lid, and we're going to cook it on low heat for maybe 15 to 20 minutes until those greens break down and everything is tender and flavorful. Okay, and now for the bread. Any bread will do. I mean, I'm not going to recommend that you use slices of Wonder Bread, but if you got some good old sort of farmhouse Italian French bread, a baguette even, that's a little bit dried out, a couple days old, you can actually ask the baker if they have any day or 2 day old bread. It's going to be way cheaper and perfect for this recipe. If you don't have any sort of dried out, a little bit stale bread, because that's what they would use, what you want to do is simply slice it and leave it in the oven and sort of dry it out at really low temperatures, maybe 225 for like 30 minutes. You'll be nice and crusty and good to go. Now, here's what we need to do. Head back over to that pot after that 15 to 20 minute period. You can see that the cabbages and the kales are broken down. We want to season this up extremely well with sea salt and fresh cracked black pepper. I promise these two things are going to go a long way to flavoring up this soup. Looks absolutely fantastic. It smells so good in here, you all. I cannot say it enough. Go ahead and remove it from the cooktop, and we're heading right over to the countertop. And to my comies out there, you already know what I'm about to say. You start putting into practice these fundamental techniques, I can promise you, everything is going to be so much better. We're homemaking every single recipe, and like I always say, homemade food from scratch always tastes better. Better than anything store-bought at the grocery store, better than anything at the restaurants, although you should still support those guys. But I mean, you just made a classic Italian Ribolitta soup, understanding how to properly sweat vegetables, not caramelize them. How to just make it in general. It's awesome. You start applying these to everything, I'm telling you, you're going to be the best cook on the block, my friends. Now, of course, we're going to plate up in slow-mo. Add a nice slice of stale, crusty bread right to the bottom of a bowl. And next, I'm going to put on some of the cabbage soup. Now, traditionally, you would put the bread with the soup in a terracotta and would end up like a gruel. I like it to be a little soupier. That's why I did it this way. I'm going to garnish with just a little bit of Parmesan cheese, and then I'm going to finish it with some fresh chopped parsley and rosemary, and my oh my, check out this beauty. Goodness, is this soup so dang good. You need to make this immediately. I hope you've got some leftover bread. Be sure to like and share this video, subscribe to my channel, check out this video. I made it just for you all, and I'll see you on there.